This is the last of our winter special episodes. We've had the likes of John Kite, Eric Hamadi, Paul Grannon, you and I, Ruben Trejo, Nick and I, and now we're going to wrap up with none other than Jig Patel, who is somewhere between South Florida and Pennsylvania. I can tell by how many clothes he's not wearing. He's probably in Florida right now. Jig, I appreciate you being on. How in the world has the industry been treating you?
Oh man, I've loved it. I've been in the industry a while. Started in February of 2014, but I've actually loved it. Every single year, it's got better and better and better. So the industry has treated me and my family and everyone that I've touched very well, I say.
Awesome. Now, I joked with you on a comment earlier today that we got to talk about some crazy crap you see online. Nick, Adam, and I talked about the echo chamber that we all kind of live in, and there's a whole world outside of it. But man, I see more and more crazy stuff said online about this industry that's just so bad. And one of the questions I wrote down that I think would be fun for us to talk about: how can an agent who's on Facebook and these social media groups sniff out a fraud when they really don't know much about the business in the first place?
It's very difficult, right? Like we all know, we've all had like tremendous amounts of roll up over the years. Um, and it's difficult because when you see what's being portrayed on social media, you see the glitz and the glam, the shine. You don't really see what that person is really going through in their life, if they're three payments behind on their car, if they're two payments behind on their house. And a lot of these guys online, I've seen through my decade in the industry, not just on social media, but they're selling you on the shine. It's like they're living a nightmare, but trying to sell people dreams. Like, hey, come on, work with me. And it's ridiculous, but it's difficult to actually sniff it out on social media because you're gonna hire someone, where are you, Maryland, right? You're gonna
Mhm.
hire someone in, let's say, Missouri. You're gonna hire someone in Washington State. We're basically going by people's reputation. And how do we know this person? Basically through what they're telling us and what we see on social media. So it's extremely difficult, the networks that we have now created, even that agent blacklist, I think is phenomenal. I think it's great, putting people on blast. Um, again, the young lady that really burnt your fingertips, I can't believe it, but I can. I really
Yeah.
can. You know what I mean? Because people are these social media gurus, and in real life, like we just seen that post where the guy's got a Lamborghini. Man, I see it all the time in South Florida and Tampa. Everyone's got these flash cars, but what they're not telling you, they're on 20 and 30-year loans. They're on these extremely crazy loans,
Wow.
just to make it affordable. So in order to, number one, afford this, you have to sustain this on the hamster wheel, this life for the pretty much 15, 20 years. Now, if something, God forbid, something happens to the car and it's past the warranty, which they're not giving you very good warranties on these luxury vehicles, just not happening. You're going to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, or that car is going to be sitting. You're going to be paying on that while you have a little Toyota Corolla or something to get to your appointments. And I mean, it's funny, but that's basically, how things have gone. People are selling dreams, bro.
Yeah.
Living a nightmare. You can't
Wow.
be a $10 person living in a $20 world. I mean, sorry, you can't be a $10 person living in a $1 world, right? It's the other way around. If you're living in this world, all right, if as an agent, we have to manage our money properly, that that advance, especially in the life insurance business, well, any of the lines, that advance is basically a 0% loan based upon that person keeping that policy. So, longevity is just about having enough policies on the books. And it's difficult. It's really difficult to know a fraud, bro. I
Yeah.
can't even give you a honest answer with that.
Yeah. Adam, I know we talked about roll up a lot, and I think that's just an important thing for people to be transparent about. But one of the things that I see this time of year that I've got PTSD over, because I've had it happen to me time and several times over, is agents that are chasing new uplines every calendar year. Now, I understand making strategic changes. I feel like it's almost hypocritical to say, don't change your upline, but also actively recruit somebody. It's a very fine line you have to tread. But I see so many agents, guys, that are like, oh, new year, new upline. And I feel like, where are you at? And this is like at the personal producer, not the mid-level manager, not the IMO, the ground level telesales or face-to-face agent. When you're constantly moving from one upline to the next, one business model to the next, Jig, how would a personal producer ever get any traction doing that?
I mean, I've been at the same place for years since you've known me. So I believe in longevity. I don't believe is good for someone to just jump ships. So that is something that I really look at. I look at their background. Why are they jumping ship? Are they just comp chasing? Even though I actually advertise actively, hey man, look,
It's such a fine line, I know.
I've got the comp, but I also take a look at their background. And again, I've been burnt. I've been burnt by the serial offenders, some of the serial offenders of the industry. But again, I mean, you know, there is a fine line. There definitely is. Us as recruiters, hey, listen, we could dangle this carrot in front of you, but are you worth it? And it's up to us to decide, coming in the door, number one, if that person does want to work with us, you got to accept this and show me why you deserve this. So coming in the door, you're going to be here. And then I will let you have that. Give me 6 months. Give me a little bit of time to assess, you're actually gonna do what you're gonna say you're gonna do. Because if you're gonna come in and just, write a bunch of business, and again, I've had a few people that have done that and just completely just fall off and nothing, not even one piece of business goes, active.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fraud that we're talking about. It's difficult because some of these jokers, and I'll say it, I'm not even gonna say it lightly. They're jokers. They're gonna use this license to pretty much fund another business. I've got a guy that rolled around $90,000 to a friend of mine, and he used that money to buy some homes, get into real estate. He really doesn't care about the insurance companies. He's never going to use the insurance license again.
That's criminal. Like, that's just plain immoral. There's a bad place that you go in life and in the afterlife for doing that just because. Adam, I think the other interesting perspective that we look at is like agencies, like I talked about this morning, and uplines and IMOs are like the guardrails to success. And like, don't do that because it won't work. But also it comes down to you doing the job. Like we talked about on Nick's episode, you've spent 5 figures worth of money on leads. You went out and wrote the business. You helped the families. You submitted the applications. I might have pushed the button for the leads to come in, but you worked them. So when it comes to like you defining you and going out and working, what are you looking forward to doing this year with that same consistency you developed in 2024?
Honestly, just rinse and repeat and do it all over again. There's no need to fix things that don't need to be fixed. It's kind of like a broken record, the things we talk about, just having that steady flow of leads and just kind of always going out there and doing it. But, one thing that you go by Jig.
Yep.
Yeah, I know we've talked. I know I did a training with you guys years ago. But one thing I think when people are looking for new opportunities, you got to ask them like, why is where you're at not working? What's not working with where you're at that you're looking to make a move, like, and just kind of see how they answer that question, because if it's, oh, well, they're not doing this, oh, they're not doing that. Well, I don't know. So much of this is just accountability too, in my opinion. You guys would probably both agree. It doesn't really matter what organization you're with. It's up to you to go out there and make the money and to write the business. I just don't really see a whole lot of difference between, should I work for this place or that place? What's the difference? I mean, you're getting leads, you're going out and seeing people, and you're making money. Maybe people just overthink all that a little bit. Like they think that the grass is always greener on the other side, when really they just need to look in the mirror and say, well, what can I do to better myself?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Jig, you do a great job of targeting agents at like NASB and captive agents and kind of attempting to recruit people that are actually hard workers from the very beginning. But what do you think agents do wrong that just plain fail? Like, it's not that they're going from one upline to the next or chasing contracts or chasing comps. They just straight up fail out of the business, even though, like, why do you think that happens to some people?
So not following systems. There's systems in place, like even at the base, let's say as just a final expense agent, there's systems in place. If you're a field agent, there's systems in place for you to not fail. You just have to follow them. You have to be willing to listen to your mentor, and that mentor has to be someone that's really a mentor, right? You have to get on a lead program. You have to, make sure that no matter what, you're setting yourself goals. One of the things that I learned early in my final expense career was I need to sit down with 15 people weekly. And if I don't sit down with them by Friday, I'm going to be working on Saturday and however long it takes. Whether I've got 25 or 30 leads this week, my number was 15. Now, if I sat down with 18 by Friday, I know that I've closed X amount of deals. And I know that I've written, projected my amount of ALP or AP, whatever you call it, mentally. Again, my main issue with people failing out is because of them not having discipline. People that have an insurance license, they're on 1099s, they don't want to be held accountable. And that's one of the biggest reasons that they do bounce from place to place and mentor to mentor, because at some point someone's holding them accountable and is messing with their ego, right? Human beings are egoistic. And, I mean, it's just the way it is. I am sometimes, we all are. So with that being said, that ego is the biggest issue, because again, if they look at that person like a mentor, they have to listen to what they're telling them. If this person's successful, Chris, if you're successful with what you're doing and I'm coming to you for advice, I have to listen to you. If you're telling me, hey, bud, you need to put $750 per week of your earnings aside just for your leads for the following week, and you need to do this, you need to sit down with this many people, at the end of the week, if I haven't hit my goal, I'm going to come to you and say, hey, listen, this is what I've done. And then it's easy for us as leaders to pretty much diagnose, why they're not hitting their goals. Oh, well, you got your 25 leads. You made some appointments, but you only made two. No problem. How did you get to the other 13 presentations for the week? If I just knocked on some doors and I didn't see someone, well then, okay, well then I get it. You didn't get your presentations in to get that. Maybe you need to change the timings up. Maybe you're going, you have to look at all the variables. So again, they have to rely on us as mentors rather than just jumping ship. But again, closed mouths don't get fed. We're all busy. If someone doesn't come to me or someone doesn't come to you, you're not going to know like what they're going through, especially if
Yeah.
they're on the other side of the nation.
Yeah.
You don't
They got to
yeah.
communicate. They got to say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. You can only reach out and do so much. Like it's a mutual kind of thing. I think one of the other parts that I'd love to dissect with you, with whatever degree you're comfortable with, is a lot of folks that I've seen go through really cold streaks or really hard streaks or fail out altogether or jump ship, and because is they let life get in the way. Like a family member gets sick or a parent or a child or something in their real life gets really bad. And because their business was on shaky ground anyway, then the whole thing starts to fall apart. And I'm sure you've gone through plenty of your own life experiences that challenged you to the core, but still had to go to work. Like, how did you not let life get in the way of business when life got hard?
So when I first got into the industry, Chris, back in February of 2014, you know, I could have just failed out of it. And there was twice, there was two times that I could have failed out of the industry. The first was, back in 2014. I only got my insurance license because I had a broken leg and I knew someone that was working for Senior Life. He said, man, you could do telesales, you'd be great at it. I was a kitchen guy, you know what I mean? I had my own restaurant at one point. I was just, I wasn't even trying to get into sales. So I got into it, had a broken leg. I found a cheat code. And what I mean by that is I didn't know how to sell anything. I didn't even know how to present final expense, but they had given me this system on the phone. And somehow they emailed me the list of codes that I could put into the system to activate live transfers. So as the calls are coming into the television commercials, they're just shooting me live transfers. My computer was ringing all day long. I didn't know how to close. Back then, we needed a recorder and all that. I had no idea. Before I knew it, I was $4,000 or $5,000 in debt, and it was like, do I believe in myself or do I do something about it? So I was, 7 weeks into the recovery. I had a broken fibula. I just used some big old, it took me like a couple of hours, big old cutters and cut that cast off. And I laced up some shoes, put some slacks on, a nice shirt, and then hobbled my way to the poorest part of Altoona, Pennsylvania, actually where that United Healthcare shooter got caught. That was my city. That's where I started my career at. So I hobbled over there to the poorest part of town and I knocked on everyone's door, up and down the roads until I got someone to sit down with me. I was the neighborhood enrollment specialist. I was here to tell them about legacy assurance and how great that was. And back then it was free for the clients. So they just had to buy a policy and they got this lifetime membership for free. So I got people to sit down with me, and one day at a time, I would get 1, 2, 3 policies every single day. And I chipped away at that debt. Within a month or so, that debt was gone. And then again, I didn't have a vehicle. I was fresh out of jail at the time also. I didn't tell you that part. So here's the thing. No vehicle, license suspended, but all these agents, they're seeing Jig putting all these numbers up, no leads, no vehicle, hobbling down the road, backpack on, and people wanted to start working with me. I was on a 70% contract. So my next move was I'll hire someone, put them on a 60 right underneath me. We'll split leads and they can drive, right? So that's how I started. And again, it was just obstacle comes, have to find a way around it. Okay, there's an obstacle, find a way around it. The CMS stuff, ain't no biggie. I don't even get too concerned. Everyone gets worried about all these changes happening.
Yeah,
It's just an obstacle. Listen, the strong will survive, you know, 10
exactly.
years strong, 10 years strong. Keep going, right?
Yeah. Adam, any thoughts, questions you want to throw Jig's way? I mean, he's got is a lot of the stuff that I've listened to over the course of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. There's so many commonalities between it. So many things that prove the phrase that success leaves clues. And all these clues are in little parts of each of these conversations. That's so fascinating. But I'll let you have the mic for a minute. Anything you wanted to ask, Jig?
Well, I mean, just from what he just said, I mean, it's true that I just think successful people will figure out ways to succeed regardless of any obstacles that arise. I had issues this year with some things. Don't worry about it. Go back out and work and make money. You give up. I don't know. I could never think about just giving up on something where the potential, the sort of money that you can make.
Right.
Like I've told you, Chris, what the heck else would I be doing? This is all I've ever done. I've been doing this since I was 20 years old. I mean, if I quit doing this, I mean, I got nothing else. I always joke around and say I'd be going to get a job at Target or something.
I was gonna grow pot.
You figure out a way to make it work.
Bro, I was gonna really, if I had left the industry, I was gonna grow pot. So here's a true story. This is the second time I was gonna leave the industry. When I left senior life, they vectored me illegally. So they vectored me for like $38,000, which was advances, but then leads too. And they give you 30 days to make payments on it or whatever it was. They put me in vector in 5 days because they knew that I was contracting elsewhere, and it started giving me issues. So at that point, I was going through a breakup and it was a difficult time. I was just like, man, look, I'll move to Michigan. My old mentor, who's an ex-Lincoln Heritage agent, he moved to Michigan. He's a partner in all these warehouses, and he's just kicking his feet up, listening to reggae and making hundreds of thousands of dollars every day, smoking pot. I don't really care about smoking the pot, but it was like they always told me money doesn't grow on trees. But he's just found a way of really making money grow on trees, right? So for me, it was just like, well, shoot, if I leave the industry now, that's the route that I'm gonna take. And no, I just kept faith in what I was doing, and yeah, just amazing journey so far.
So, Jig, what do you think 2025 looks like for you? In our final 5 minutes today, this is going to play on January 1st. What does your business look like this year?
So this year it definitely doubled, right? But 2025, I can really see my group scaling because we've brought on some leaders, real recruiters. Not so much on the life side, but on the health insurance side, we're really going to scale this coming 2025. Super excited. But yeah, I mean, I can't give you any real numbers, but I'm definitely going to look to double the AEP production that we had this year.
That's exciting. What would you say to a final expense agent who's just sort of starting to enter their Medicare journey? A little bit of experience like Adam, written a few applications, helped a few existing clients, just seen the very tip of that iceberg. What would you say to him?
Oh man, Adam, listen, buddy, just invest in the Medicare side of things, because on the Medicare side of things, I'll give you a prime example. Agent that I work with, she came in on a final expense agent. She wrote 72 apps without any leads, just by going back to her book and saying, "Hey, can I service you?" And really helping these people, right? Just using Sunfire to compare the stuff. But Humana, one of the carriers, they called her and they said, "Hey, I've seen that you've done X amount of apps. We're going to give you $2,000. That's for marketing." Now, none of my life insurance carriers are giving me money for leads. None of my life insurance carriers are. Plus, with the life insurance, the renewals are going that way, right? Where every year my Medicare renewals, the health insurance is just going the other way. So, it will buy you freedom quicker than you think. I mean, my first year, I made some mistakes. So you taking it slow is definitely wise. But with the technology that you have at your fingertips and the people that you already have in your book, people that know you and trust you, you don't even really have to buy leads. I mean, and again, I don't really know your book, but I don't think if you've got more than 100 people on your book, that's where you could start. Start and practice with those folks. And, they know you, they like you, they trust you already. That's why they're on your book. So that's the advice I would give.
I wrote some business on like final expense leads, but not a whole lot of existing policy holders. And even like the other day, I was going through some of my leads and I was like, man, why didn't I go talk to this person like during open enrollment? Like it probably would have been a slam dunk. They're fairly new, like 65 years old. I probably could have easily done some business. So yeah, I'm for sure going to take more time and do that again, go through my leads and see what else I can write throughout the year and not just have to focus on the open enrollment season.
Right. January is open enrollment again, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Well, Jig, I appreciate you taking a few minutes with us, but really just taking the time, sharing your experiences, realizing that successful people find a way to win, find a way around the obstacles, as you put it, and to show and to transparently say you've been through your own lived experiences. And if you can live past them, so can other people. We all go through these troubles. No one here has it easy. We all have it on an equal playing field. You just have to decide if you're going to play the game or not. Jig, I appreciate it. Happy New Year's, everybody. If you've watched any of our winter special episodes, all 8 that have played over the course of the last 10 or so days, interact with the videos, like, comment, and share them out, because someone needs to see what we've said today, and they won't if you don't share or interact with the videos. Jig, thanks for being with us today.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague, and if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.